All right, we are back. I have reduced this sauce down to about half. So now it's starting to look like a nice rich meat sauce. Don't worry, I'll post a picture of the reduction process on the gram. I've got my pasta water boiling, and then I've got my garnishes. So again, the relatively extreme bias cut scallion, some similarly bias cut serrano peppers. These are spicy, so just be careful. I've got some of this dried garlic chip from my sister's CSA, their 2019 harvest. She's amazingly talented. Follow her, West Rock Hill. It's amazing. I really love adding these because it's like a really awesome punchy crunch that you can put on top of your noodly dishes. And then I've got some basil. I just cut these right from my little herb window box. All right, so we are going to go ahead and drop the ramen noodles into the water. Give them a stir. These really shouldn't take long at all. Meanwhile, now we're going to start paying attention to our sauce because it's definitely cooked down, definitely thick. Turn the heat all the way down there. And I remember my tasting spoon. So we're going to go ahead and do a tasting. Get a little bit of the meat, a little bit of the sauce. This is when we'll know if we've put enough salt, pepper, garlic, what have you in it. Okay, well, I mean, obviously it's perfect. I mean, to be really honest, we used so many ingredients that have a lot of savory characteristics to them, right? Soy sauce, broad bean paste. We added vinegar. We added the sambal for heat. We've got garlic, ginger, scallions. I'm actually not surprised that we don't need to add anything to this. I think it's really, really nice. It's complex, but it's comforting. It's got that garlic-driven kind of savory flavor. It's got a little bit of heat from the sambal, obviously. If you really want to add more, we're going to do that with the serranos for the garnish, and you could obviously add sriracha or whatever your flavoring of choice is. But I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back or anything, but I think that this recipe just kind of holds its own. I don't feel any reason or need to add any more salt to this. And that's rare. Like normally I'm like, yes, obviously, salt queen. All right, so checking in back here with the noodles, we're gonna start breaking them up using the spork. So I kind of want to undercook the noodles a little bit because my whole objective is to drop them into the sauce and let them finish cooking in there for a minute or less than a minute. So moving them around, making sure that they're getting nice exposure to the water. Honestly, like this is the best thing about using the packaged ramen noodles. I don't know why I just did like a whole like hand insert thing, but the best thing about using the ramen noodles is that they take like no time at all. You can use dried spaghetti, you could use rice noodles if you have them, you could really use anything you wanted to for this, which is really nice and versatile because the sauce has just so much flavor. Again, like I said earlier, like I really just happen to love, do you notice I'm having like lots of technical difficulties? I really just happen to love ramen and the way that it's kind of chewy and bouncy. It's the texture is just my favorite. I mean, obviously these are like freeze dried and store bought for like 35 cents. Totally fine right now. But either way, they're still delicious. Okay, so now that this is cooked, you can do a normal strain in a colander and then dump situation, but I think I'm fine just kind of dropping them into the sauce, at least for the purpose of this video. So lifting them up, and they're gonna bring a little bit of that water with them, and so remember, any water that pasta or noodles are cooked in definitely takes on some of the starch. So it'll definitely help to make it thick and rich as this combines with the sauce that you've created over here. So I'm actually not mad at the fact that we're bringing some of the pasta water in with us. Fishing around, trying to make sure I've got all of it. All right, so now I'm gonna turn the heat off because this pot is definitely warm enough. And we are going to work carefully. We're trying not to make a mess. The sauce into the noodles. This is definitely a tedious job. We're pulling the noodles apart, trying to work the pork in. And honestly, if this pot had higher sides, I would love it because then I wouldn't have to be as careful, but you know, doing everything for the gram, for the video. All right, this is working pretty well. And honestly, what I can feel in these noodles, they're not breaking. They're holding on pretty well. I think we did a really nice job, and by we I mean I. Obviously you're just watching, timing the cooking of the noodles. They still have a lot of structural integrity. They're definitely still cooking here in this kind of brothy rich sauce, and they're gonna hold up really well when we go to plating. All right, so this is totally incorporated now. We've got our heat off. I think we're ready to go ahead and plate. Honestly, it's so funny. So the smells and the taste that I got were like so Southeast Asian, like amazingly punchy and bright. But like if you look at this looks like a full-on bolognese sauce, like right out of Tuscany, right? Like long developed, rich herbal flavors. So I mean, I think this is honestly like the perfect melding of those two worlds. So I really hope all of you try and enjoy this recipe. All right, I picked a white bowl. Surprise, surprise. I'm like all about these like simple white dishes these days. And I'm gonna take some of this noodle concoction, drop it right into the center, kind of give it a little whirl out in the center because I don't really want it to all clump in there. My next spoonful, I'm gonna try to get more meat because I just wanna make sure that we have the right ratio of meat sauce to noodle. Again, this is all for social media, so really, like, considering we're not really having dinner guests these days, like, don't even sweat it. All right, so now I've got a full bowl. This is looking really, really good, but it's a little bit messy. So I have my trusty plating napkins. In restaurants, there's like constantly a supply of linens right by the expo line so they can like touch up all the plates and make them look perfect. I'm like definitely fine with using paper napkins. All right, so I've cleaned that up a little bit. Now I'm gonna use my plating tweezers and I'm actually gonna put them in here and just give the whole dish a little bit of a swirl. Like there's like this whole thing about noodles and pasta having to have a direction and plating in a little bit of a whirl fashion. I'm totally fine with that. Obviously ramen has its own texture, so I'm not gonna be like obsessive about it, but I do find that using these tweezers is super helpful in achieving that. All right. So now that we've got kind of like the look that we're going for, I'm gonna go ahead and throw on a couple of these, and by a couple I mean 3 pieces of the serrano pepper. I'm gonna take some of my like delicately bias cut scallion, drop them right on there. some of my uber talented sister's garlic chips. Again, nice little kind of color contrast. And then right in the middle, I'm gonna take one of these really cute little, almost like florets of basil. And then I'll take another floret of purple basil. Kind of put them together right in the center. Perfect. And now with like a little bit of lighting, we'll make this look amazing for Instagram. All right. Thanks for watching. If you have any feedback or if you want the recipe or anything, obviously comment, DM me, reach out. This is kind of the first time. I realize I'm wearing a hoodie and probably like yoga pants or something. But yeah, this was fun. Hope you enjoyed.